over the summer, the city council adopted a wet-tail master plan, and that process is also coming to fruition. Just dropping that.
I think the mayor Canada raised that they would take issue with calling 14 units at 1.25 million low-cost housing.
That
would be the issue.
One of the issues. That's one of
We won't go into that.
Well, on behalf of the town of Caroline, very pleased to report that they've received approval for a $400,000 grant for housing improvement through Becky's operation.
That's why I yielded to the commissioner.
Oh, you want to let him do that, huh? Well, stole your thunder. That's all right. And as I understand the story, Becky, this covers half of the town, and you already have pen and paper going to work on the other half of the town. Is that correct?
Lining up names.
In any event, that was the major item that the town and the board asked me to pass on. They were very, very pleased about the implications of that for the town. If you wish, I can make an equally brief report on behalf of the committee, or would you rather defer that?
I think if the timing is like that, Len, you can squeeze
Do
it
it?
in. Yeah.
Okay. I've been actively meeting with people in the transportation area with the Department of Planning over the summer and on into the fall. And probably one of the most salient things to report regarding transportation issues in Tompkins County is, by direct measure of members of the staff of the Tompkins County Planning Department, one can drive from this building to Cornell in 10 minutes, one can bike in 20, and to take public transit it takes 65 minutes. Documented.
I think that will give us quite a bit to think about.
End of report.
Thank you. Excellent report.
You
The
didn't
result
say
of
what
8
time
meetings.
that was.
Pardon?
You didn't keep the time as well.
Time of day?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, this was on Fridays, either at 1 o'clock in the afternoon or at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Maybe we can check with Marty and see how fast it is by helicopter. George, you've got a wonderful example.
It's getting later and later in each presentation. The next presentation will be the ACS video project, Media Literacy in a High School. This will be presented by Chris Sperry, teacher of Media and Social Studies at the Alternative Community School here in Ithaca. And also presenting are members of the ACS video project, Lisa Porch, Mike Cederstorm, Jacob Savacinski, Josiah Levithan Rayner, Mike Yarrow, and Jeff Gowen.
Kevin, if you can get the audio. Okay. So let's have the lights, and actually you can cut it there. Although the process is the important part, the audio helps. So that might be an appropriate intro. Hopefully that won't continue to happen. We have lots of little clips to show. My name is Chris Sperry. I'm a teacher at ACS, the Alternative Community School in Ithaca. And the presentation you're going to be hearing today is by students, high school students, and the video that you're going to be seeing is their work. Both the students who are here and some of the other students over the last few years that have been doing video production at ACS. What you would have seen here, or I guess are kind of seeing in the back, is the beginning of the most recent show that was aired last spring called Zen in the Art of Being Cool. And it was the most recent Root 13, which is a periodic show that comes out of the video project on all different themes over the years, and you'll be seeing some different clips from both Being Cool, hopefully, and some of the other ones. I've been working with the video project for, I guess, 7 years now. I guess I didn't want to say much at all because the students really have prepared a presentation of their own words and their own images to talk about media literacy. And that's my term, and I think for them it's what they've learned, what they've gotten out of video project and working with video production. But before I turn it over to them, they thought I should say a little bit about the school because the video project is really in the context of the Alternative Community School. ACS is a public middle and high school in the Ithaca City School District. Started in 1974 with 60-some students, now has 260 students in grades 6 through 12 in our own building. The students come from diverse backgrounds. Everybody chooses to come to ACS, although some come with labels from gifted and talented to at-risk to everything else. The school is democratic. The students and staff together make most of the decisions affecting the running of the school, either in weekly all-school meetings or through committees that students are the majority in. The video project and other media programs that we have at the school in photography and radio production are all a part of the school's commitment to giving students the skills and the opportunity to become critical thinkers and empowered activists in a democracy. And one final note, I'm proud to say that Matt Lyons, who is the coordinator of the conference today, is also an ACS graduate. So I'll turn it over to Lisa Porch.
Hi, my name is Lisa Porch, and this will be my third year in Root 13, or video project. And I'm presenting on a little bit on our process on a demystification of media. And I guess I'll just start. In the past, Video Project, or Root 13, has met one day a week after school for a cycle, which is about 9 weeks, at ACC for basic studio training on cameras, audio, character generation, switching, and directing. We each wrote and produced a short piece, which was later edited onto a master tape. This changed last year with the acquisition of our own SVHS editing equipment. And this year, the training's changing again as the students are being trained on a portable studio system in place of the regular studio training, which is what they're using here. After the first cycle of training, Root 13 begins work on the first show. The themes decided by brainstorm. Themes from the past have been teen sexuality, religion, TV, war, and Zen and the Art of Cool are the most recent and I think most successful. After all the ideas for themes have been given, it's usually about 2 blackboards full in school terms, we vote on which theme to use. After the theme is decided, people then brainstorm ideas for pieces. Pieces are how the show usually works. They're generally music videos, dramatic or comedy, basically whatever the student has as an idea on that theme. 3 or 4 people, sometimes less, work on that part of the show, and there in the past have been up to, I think, 25 students in video project at a time. They usually don't have anything to do with each other, so there's a sole creation of each individual student or group. You're given a deadline for your piece. and you have several check-in periods between the time that you start work on your piece and the time that you have to be finished with shooting and editing it. And you're totally responsible for whether or not you complete it in time for the show, and if you don't, the show may fall apart totally. After the pieces are in, there's what we call a final edit, in which all the pieces are put on one tape in order by 2 to 4 people. And usually these people work from about 2:30, which is when our school day ends, till about 10 o'clock. Last time we worked for like 4 or 5 days straight to finish the final edit. Usually one show takes 2 months, maybe less. Depends on how much work we get done, how fast, and how big the show is, how many people there are. In the process of learning how to produce a 30 to 40-minute show, we've also learned how to read TV. This has allowed us to see TV shows and commercials as the creations of people as opposed to the work of an untouchable technology. And it's also let us see how and where and when the networks make mistakes, and also see the programs through the director's chair, see why they decided to shoot it that way, why they decided to edit it that way, why people are sitting around the outsides of tables and you're seeing everything shot like that. Basically just why they do things the way they do. The quality of our work in comparison to the networks is not that great, but it must be taken into consideration that we don't have the money, the equipment, or the time that they do to do this, and nothing is really harder, in my opinion, than when you get a full load of homework and you realize you have to shoot or edit for about the next 3 days, and it's just amazing how much work we've managed to get done in that short period of time. Thanks.
Actually, if people want to, we could hold applause till the end. We'll go through about 4 or 5 more presenters. I'm going to show a little clip of some students working on an ACS video production a number of years ago. You can roll that one, Kevin.
name is Mike Cedarstrom, and I've been a student at the Alternative Community School this is my 7th year. I'm a senior this year. My first experience with video production was when I went to the New York State Summer School of the Arts two summers ago, and fellow students were working on video production there, and I became interested in it. And the following fall, I joined the video production group that my school had to offer. One of the most important aspects of our school is the incredible sense of community. We try to incorporate this sense of community into our video project group. Video Project is a group of students that meets after schools, 3 hours, 1 day a week. The students involved volunteer their time because they share a common interest. This group of students starts off the year as a random group of people unfamiliar with the different aspects of video production and technology. But as the year progresses, the students find a unique sense of community within the group through video training workshops, small group exercises, group discussions, trial and error, etc. After the group decides upon a theme for the bi-monthly television program, the students break into small production groups, usually about 3 or 4 people, which will work on a 5 to 10 minute video piece, which will represent their interpretation of the group decided theme. The students in the small groups then decide upon how they will distribute the numerous tasks involved in the completion of their piece, such as scripting, finding actors, setting up shoots, filming, editing, etc. The completion of these tasks by the deadline is critical to the overall success of the piece and subsequently the whole show itself. There's an incredible amount of work involved, and the students must find the time to get all of these jobs done. Each of the students has to be committed to working in the group, or else the production will fall apart. Working with Video Project has taught me the importance of an individual in a group. It has taught me a great deal about responsibility, reliability, dependability, and trust through working with a group to achieve group goals. I look forward to working with the Video Project again this year. Thank you.
We were going to show a short piece of Jacob Savashinsky, who's going to speak next, but I think given the audio problem, we'll have to imagine the piece. It was the opening dramatic skit in the Zen and the Art of Cool show. It was called The Cool Pill. It was about a young man who was new to a school and who was, as they say in the business, dorky, and found himself in the bathroom with someone who provided him with a pill to alleviate that problem, make him cool. And it goes through a couple of days of coolness for him, and then a discovery with his newfound cool sweetheart that they both were on this sugar pill together. So it was a dramatic piece, 6 minutes long, that Jacob produced, and he'll speak about that experience right now.
Hi, I'm Jacob Savashinsky, and starting this year, my junior year, this will be my 2nd year with the ACS Video Project. For me, the ACS Video Project has been an amazing outlet for expressing myself. I've had a chance to speak my mind on topics that I'm concerned about, and I've had an opportunity to become actively involved with a medium I had experienced only passively all my life. My piece, called The Cool Pill, was a chance to work in all the various areas of making a video piece, from camera work, editing, and arranging audio, to scripting, directing, and even acting the one time I got someone to work the camera for me. Each piece of equipment is an experience unto itself. As I learned to work on each phase of production, I opened the door to a new art form. The offbeat creativity of finding good camera angles, fades, and shots, the precision and patience of editing, the preparation, articulation, and occasional conflict mediation of directing, the energy and TLC of getting the audio just right, and the confidence to act were all new things to me and made Video Project one of my most intense learning experiences ever. Writing the piece was probably my most unusual experience. I write fiction a lot on my own, and writing is definitely one of my favorite things. But writing for the screen was like nothing I'd ever done. Having to visualize a scene and pre-think camera angles, shots, fades, and audio makes each scene a project itself. And of course, nothing ever comes out as you planned. The difference between my visualization of my piece and the actual result is indescribable. Having watched network and professional television all my life, I never realized how much went into something that looked that good. At first, I hated my piece, but as I stopped comparing my meager experience, crew, and equipment with those of professional television, I gained more appreciation of my work. I can never describe the satisfaction of completing a piece that you poured your heart and soul into, as I especially did, having done the bulk of the piece myself, with a few exceptions. But mostly, all tasks were on my shoulders. I find that this was a unique video experience, as usually the work is split between a few people. Though trying and exhausting, I find that video project work has left me with a new outlook towards all the work I do. The preparation, organization, and responsibility are characteristics that I now apply to my schoolwork and out-of-school work, and I find work that I do to be of a higher standard and more reliable and on time. Being in video project has changed and improved the way I approach everything I do. To be perfectly honest, I can think of very few things in my life that haven't been changed by my work with video at ACS. I learned a lot about working with other people. Working with the people who acted in the piece improved my skills with articulating what I had to say and talking over and working out problems. I've learned to be more organized and to think things through more clearly. Overall, I can say without a doubt that video project at ACS has been educational, positive, and fun. I look forward to continuing video work throughout my junior and senior years. All that I've gained through video project is immeasurable, and I'll keep with it forever.
The next short piece is an interview segment from the show we pulled together last fall on young people and their perspectives on war. It ended up being a 90-minute show with 20 students participating in it, including interviews with children and teenagers and veterans, as well as a number of dramatic pieces and music videos. So this is a short piece from Perspectives on War that was aired, by the way, on January 15th at 7 p.m., coincidentally.
Protection. The second jet came in, dropped its bomb. The minute that bomb hit the ground and shook the ground and me and everything around, I jumped to my feet and went running back to the dike behind me with gunfire firing at my feet as I went. Rolled over the dike and then was laying on the ground behind the dike. There were wounded back there. The medics were treating them, people that had been wounded in the first of fire. One thing that occurred to me then and there was the shocking realization that I was expendable, that my government regarded me as expendable. I was little more than a disposable utensil, an instrument for someone else's policy. We were putting the trucks and taking them somewhere, I don't know where, and then interrogated, and then we were put on boxcars and I don't know how many days and nights, like forever, to go to Leslie and to a place called Sperry for the conference in prison. And these are some of the same experiences of being photographed and this is really miserable. I think I've never served in combat. People who have never served in combat have quite a different view about war. But if you've been shot at and hit or even been hit and you've lost friends, you've seen them torn down like that, I mean, last time I just going to tell you you can be killed. They never leave you. I pictured it often since that night about the first man who came up to me and his face was color-eyed. It's hardly able to stand. He had just escaped death. The Germans had killed by machine gun fire as well as burning up death bodies. That's what he explained us. The evidence they had when it came to the dead meat, but he killed thousands. We thought there was somehow over 1,000, maybe as many as 5,000 bodies tied up that they were trying to bury in big pits. But, because we had thought, well, we're going to be trying to bury them. At that time, I had absolutely no compassion. I could kill any German soldier whatsoever.
That was from the Interviews with War Veterans piece of the Perspectives on War 9091 show. It was scripted, shot, edited, and produced by Matt Yarrow, Sebastian Ruth, and myself, Josiah Levitan Reiner. It was the first attempt for all of us. Over the month that we were intensely working on the show, all of us put in more than 40 hours outside of school into the piece. The excessive time commitment was in part because none of us had any prior experience with video interviewing, and putting together this kind of show called for all of us to take responsibility for so many new things. Things like making arrangements with strangers over the phone, working in our school's editing room till 10 o'clock at night and on weekends, and shooting footage with no outside direction from someone with more experience than myself. Although this was difficult, what was more of a surprise to me was that I was responsible for the show's success or failure, although I did not carry this burden by myself. If I failed to do my part, the whole show would suffer. If I failed to get our last bit of editing done, or I lost a tape, I would not only hand in what I had done late, or be personally penalized, or get an incomplete, or even fail, as would happen with an ordinary class, but the entire production would not go on the air, could not go on the air, and all of our work would be compromised. During the first stages of producing the interviews, it was my job to find the interviewees, to arrange a time and place for the interview, and to write a rough draft of the interview questions. We interviewed 3 World War II veterans and 3 Vietnam veterans about their feelings about war, propaganda, death, and current events. We shot 2 hours of raw and what was for me very powerful footage. We would then condense the footage into 3 10-minute segments. The experiences that were shared during the interviews formed a very interesting picture of war in general and shaped my views on the events of last year, the Persian Gulf War. However, technically, the footage did not compare to what we were used to on television nor to what we were expecting. But even worse than bad footage is a bad final piece that does not fit together. And when we finished editing our piece, we found that our lack of organization shined through more than the hard work we had put in. This was very frustrating, but during doing the interviews piece, I was exposed to a rather new yet powerful means of sharing my or other people's thoughts and views to my peers and my community. The ACS Video Project show, Root13, is not widely viewed, but still our show casts our collective ballot into the exclusive world of media democracy, or lack thereof.
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Yo. I've been a member of the ACS Video Project for 1 year. Because of the experience I've gained in doing Video Project, I understand more of the subtle things I'm exposed to when watching television. Through the training at ACC, the making of my own pieces, and watching other people's productions, I've learned many different methods that directors use to make their work appealing and believable. For example, before Video Project, I had no idea how important good audio was and what a large part music and audio effects play in a show. By possessing this knowledge of how shows are made to look good, I can now view most video pieces and have a good idea what the director is trying to get across to his audience. Also, I can see bias in the production. I'm now starting to see that there is an amazing amount of subtle as well as blatant bias on television. For instance, though I agreed with a documentary I recently saw about the destruction of rainforests in South America, I was able to see the bias in it. The documentary was presented as being factual, but I saw it differently. The pictures showed were well done and visually stimulating. Set to dramatic music and sad music were scenes of huge earth-moving machines that ripped down trees and left the native peoples and magnificent animals with nothing. The show was very convincing, but I tried to look past that. The pictures, the music, the little special effects were used by the director to arouse interest, anger, sympathy, and perhaps responsibility in the audience. I know that what was presented to me wasn't the way the situation seemed to everybody involved. This documentary did not show what the farmers who cut down the rainforest or the Brazilian government officials felt. Though the show is biased, it wasn't a bad piece. There is usually biased in most everything, but when you're aware of it, it usually isn't as harmful. So I'm glad I've gained the skill of watching TV critically, so I can see consciously how shows and commercials are influencing my beliefs.
The last pieces we'll see are from a Root 13 done on the theme of television. And interestingly enough, it's the one theme we've done twice over the last 6 years, is young people's perspectives on television. So you'll see the end of what had been a short documentary piece in it that had interviews with young people and clips from television and interviews with a Cornell professor, and then one student's version of a commercial.
Major Dad, Family Matters, TV shows like that.
What I think television does affect. I think it has effects on how we act, on how we think, and on how we feel. Now, of course, it depends on what people are exposed to in the first place, how much they're exposed in the second place, and in the third place, who they are. Very young children, for example,
an affair and
I'm Jeff Gowan, and I participated in the ACS video project last year. And ACS video project taught me a lot about the media and democracy. The media is, of course, a very important part of democracy and is necessary to the empowerment of the people. We live in a society that is at least partially democratic, and where freedom of the press is generally permitted. But in order for us to use the power that is made available to us, we have to know how to take it. ACS as a school and ACS Video Project teaches the kids who will soon be adults how to take that power. Our school is mostly a democratic school and teaches us the fundamentals of democracy. It tells us that our opinions count and that we as individuals can make a difference. It also forces us to think about important questions, and it teaches us how to develop our own positions. But what it doesn't teach is how to be active in a real-world democracy. This is the importance of the ACS Video Project. In the real world, practically all of our opinions and positions about things that never really come into contact with us personally are going to be grounded in the media. If I want to judge the qualifications of a candidate for president, for example,
Short of meeting with him or her personally, all I'm going to know about the candidate is what I hear about him or her over the TV or the radio, or read in the newspaper. Because the media is so important to democracy and so important to the adult voters that we students will eventually become, we all have to know how to understand what the media is telling us. We have to be able to see the biases and understand the underlying position of news reports. Becoming familiar with the equipment used to create the television shows we watch has more of an effect than you might think on my ability to do these things, and I'm sure on all video project students. I feel able to filter through the information that comes into my head and pick out what is speculation and opinion from what is fact. Debate is also very important to democracy, and the ACS Video Project shows us that we actually speak to a large audience by using the media, that we can actually speak to a large audience by using the media. If I wanted to express an opinion I felt strongly enough about, I would probably just send a letter to the newspaper. But I would thank Video Project for the impetus to do that. The lessons I learned from Video Project are universal, and in learning to speak through the TV, I learned to speak through all media.
Long-lasting caramel covered with real milk chocolate.
What are you doing out there? Hey, what are you doing on my TV? And where's my soap? Oh, I think I hear Mom coming. I better turn you off. What are you talking about, turn me off? You're the one on TV. No, Paul. You're in TV land. Now why don't you come and join us? This is where you really belong.
Come on, Paul. You belong with us.
Let me out of here. No. You're stuck here forever. You're next. You're next.
You're next.
So once you move on up around there, some question and answer. So you probably stand up. So that's our organized presentation, but we have time for some questions and answers. Yeah, Richard.
We have a lot of, when you're working on productions together, we have a lot of debates and discussion about what position we're going to put out and how we will put it out.
I think I can speak to that. When we decide on a group theme, like students draw off into smaller groups, and the theme is up for interpretation within the small groups. Usually the pieces don't have very much to do with each other, except that they're all organized around the same theme. And so it's like you have debate within the small group of how your small group wants to interpret that. But as a whole group, it's up for whoever wants to do whatever they want about the theme now.
What's the most controversial or the most discussed topic that you as a group worked on?
Yeah, I think it's the piece that we did on Perspectives of War, Teenagers' Perspectives of War, that we aired last January.
Actually, I'll just mention that one of the interesting dialogues that went on there was around how much were they trying to propagandize, trying to communicate a position, a strong, and in the case of the students, their anti-war position, or how much were they trying to inform about different positions that were out there. So the young people really struggled with what was their role. Was it to present a very strong opinion, or was it to present lots of different viewpoints on that? I mean, there wasn't any consensus, as there often isn't in our groups, because we go off and we do the small pieces where everybody in that piece is involved in pretty much all aspects of that production. But dialogue was certainly interesting.
I don't
don't know if your group here is representative of the school, but it's representative of our efforts to involve students. We are not getting many females. Is this your experience?
Well, one of our other video project students is actually in the audience. I think that generally, it seems to me we do get more males than females, but we have had a lot more females that are on the stage. I was just the one that was there to do this and didn't have time to do it, so it's generally pretty mixed.
Historically, it's been about 2 to 1. The numbers are anywhere between 10 and 20 students at a time, but it's always been more male, although not necessarily more male energy.
Okay. I have a question in terms of how many terms you can take this project, or if it lasts only for one cycle, as you had mentioned previously. And if so, is there a sequential course of study that takes this and does a regular production that airs, and then eventually networks into career opportunities?
Video project, the training for new students is our first cycle, which is the first half of the first semester. And in the past, we've talked about continuing it all year. In the past, it's only been the next 2 cycles after that, because we have other obligations for the 4th cycle of the year. And I think that there are some students who have continued into film? My brother. Jacob's brother continued into film, and and a lot of students have gone to the New York State Summer School of the Media Arts, and I think we've had a few other students that have continued, but I don't know how many.
It's a good question. The school, 260, our resources are limited. For instance, right now, the video project for continuing students, if it would have to be done completely by a student or students together, because there's just not the staff time to be able to commit to that. But this is just a school of 260. It is doing more than 95% of the schools of 2,000 around the state and country. It's something to really question.
Do you supervise when they edit it until 10 o'clock at night?
We have a meeting with parents and permission forms, and not supervision, but someone in an adult in the building at all times. We have to work a lot of those sorts of things out.
Chris, you should mention that ACS has its own equipment now, but the video you saw of the production was 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old. That was the old studio and old equipment. We've just purchased new equipment and used the ACS training of some of the kids for at least 4 of the years.
Well,
including now, they're going to be trained on access equipment. And the important point is that in our access franchise, we required the cable company to buy $170,000 worth of equipment at the beginning of the franchise and to provide $40,000 to $50,000 of new equipment each year. Part of that equipment is the equipment they use in this project. So that's one way of funding your thing, is to get your local government to write the franchise in a way that the cable company, and it's required under federal law, as well as state regulation.
And that's how many of the schools that are doing real-time work is in collaboration with community access.
Just over the border in Ontario, there's, I understand, a compulsory program in media literacy in the school system, and elsewhere too. But when you look at the textbook, you find that people are reading and that kind of thing, but they aren't doing any making or production. And each of you said something about how much you learned about television or this or that by doing it yourself. Now, do you think that it would be a good idea to make this kind of production-oriented study a compulsory part of these compulsory programs?
I think if the program is going to be mandatory, then actually involving yourself directly in some production, and if possible, all aspects of production, is just as important as having the course itself. There's only so much you can get from reading about something, and the things I think that we've all learned from working with video at ACS can't be learned from a textbook. It's something you have to get out and do and understand and learn for yourself.
Access, and if not, are you interested in going on for schools to work in an access program?
The shows that we make, the Root 13 shows, are aired on Channel 13 bi-monthly if we can manage it. So yeah, we've been played publicly in Ithaca for some number of years now. Other questions? Yes?
Can you talk a little bit more about coming to terms with, say, the roughness of your programs compared to the stick professional stuff you see on TV?
We actually had a discussion over what I spoke about, and they thought the terms that I was going to use were a bit too harsh. I think that a lot of people realize that they end up hating their pieces or not liking them very much when they first see them because they're not the same quality as the networks do. And I think over time, I think most of them are very, very good pieces for the time that we have and the equipment that we have, and even very good pieces just because they're very good pieces. And most people come to the point where they like it for what it is and not for the quality and for what it tells people. And I think that's about, if anybody else has anything to add to that.
I would like to ask. Well, I don't know if you noticed, but in the war interviews piece that was just displayed up there, there was a 3-second gap in the audio with some waving of arms around. You know, it's that kind of thing that we get in the show, and black gaps just every so often between cuts, all like 2-second black gap or something, and it's something that could be corrected if we didn't have to go on the air in half an hour.
I think that actually, I think our war show, our son in the art school, that we really did edit it until like, what, the last 15 minutes, 30 minutes before the show actually went on the air for the first time. So, you know.
Don't really have time to go back and make corrections like that.
So there's something to be said about about different types of production schedules for a particular purpose.
One of the things that we have that's a real good opportunity for us is that we don't work with a censor. The closest thing we have to a censor is on manners and common sense, really. And we also, we usually air around 10 o'clock, and there's less restrictions on things you show after a certain hour. So we do have really an exceptional amount of leeway with the things that we air, and we really take advantage of it.
It leaves me wondering why it is 30 minutes before. I never thought about that before. They're usually done. I just want to close by saying that what you've seen is pretty unique, and that's really sad from my perspective. It doesn't take a tremendous amount of time on my part, or as a staff person organizing it. Really is a matter of getting this equipment into kids' hands and doing some facilitation. And I think it's unbelievable that so much time in schools go into teaching people how to pull apart and put together words, which is wonderful. But when you think about the impact that media has on young people today, and you think about the absolute lack of any time or nearly any time spent in school putting together and taking apart video and television. It's a real sad statement about where education is in this country in relationship to the needs. And many people out here, I'm sure, have young people in the schools, and I think it's part of our role as teachers and as parents to advocate for what young people need to be doing in the schools. And it's both looking at and pulling apart different parts of media, and it's also critically putting that together. So thank you very much for the time.